Okay. Um. So why am I doing these videos? It's not going to change anything. And yes, it's not going to change what's going to happen to me. But I know there's something that happens to these perps involved in this, because as they try to gaslight you into accepting this, they realize that this guy is refusing to identify with the manipulation, which of course, manipulation is the key word. And their job is to make you accept this. And, I want them, for anybody participant in this program, in regard of, I want them to see themselves for what they truly are. So when I look at them, they know what I'm looking at. Right? Via V2K, there's a sense of they have this character mode, but in person, when they stay in character, it's more obvious. And I got a chance to see them, and I'm looking at them for the true shit that they are, and understanding that just the bottom feeders. They've tried to maintain this psyop that's so disturbing. And I gotta say, this is, it's even disgusting that, you see these people, they blurred out. I don't know, like I said, for me, perps are just nobodies, right? But and perps are people that the government contracts to act accordingly while you're being manipulated. Meaning that you get forced to get manipulation, and then they're supposed to act accordingly. Via V2K, they have this whole characters, right? And they try to change, they deflect it. It's the same old game, right? But when you're in the office and you listen to them try to play the game, and you listen to the testimonials and the validation, that's just crazy. And you look at them, it's like, you're gonna, okay, how dumb you gonna get? And you see some of them walking mad and all kind of acting and walking back and forth. Like, I look at, and at one point there was this person in the office, and she would pass and look back, and I look at her, I was listening to the videos I made. I'm looking at her. She tried to whisper. It's like, oh, go ahead, say something. Am I? How close of identify you think I am? And then they realize the reality is like, no, I know how nasty you guys are, and you guys are very pedophilia centric. Matter of fact, there's a ranking, like I keep saying, for how pedophilia centric you are. If you try to make yourself badass, here, you're so badass, you're being ranked this way. To the point where I just bring that in their face 24/7. Oh, your God. So here is pictures of the little girl, of course, typical things. Before, it was on YouTube. It's a YouTube ad, right? And before that, I'm stretching, right? They make me feel like I need to stretch. And I'm stretching, and as I'm stretching, I can feel like a little weird stimulation. Like, well, I don't care. I'm just trying to stretch. As I'm stretching, I'm scrolling down on my YouTube, and I see this forehead. It's like, oh, that's why they made me stretch. Because as I was stretching, they were creating some stimulations. Like I said, in this program, they do a lot of manipulations that are just disgustingly pedophilia-centric. They are conditioning the brain of people in this pedophilia way. It's not even just manipulation. It's training your brain to have sexual stimulation toward children. They live off, like, this is the reality they're in. That's the world they're in. And, to minimize how disturbing it is, they're like, oh, we're men, right? But the truth is that they're truly being groomed and are grooming others to use this cognitive warfare of pedophilia. Now, these people live off, like, when I say live off, is day in and day out, is how they manipulate, is basically figuring out how to manipulate a person into to think about children in sexual ways. It is disgusting, but that's the life they're in. I'm glad they live that kind of life. They try to normalize it. I was in the office, and I see these people, right? One of them by the computer, she goes, oh, she's like, oh, Michael, because the pedophilia things they do to me toward little kids. And I'm looking at her, it's like, I'm just looking at her for the shit that she is. At one point, she had to put like her screen to cover that up. It's like, you're a piece of shit. I'd rather die in hell than live like you. I'd rather be dying, but I'm looking at the shit that you are. But you're just a nothing. Look at you. Because what she's trying to do is like, she's trying to gaslight you into accepting this nasty manipulation that she is involved in, which is not, it doesn't mean much. Many of a lot of perps are involved in this, but she thinks she can act accordingly. And I'm looking like, do you think I respect you? I know what this is about, and I know that the people call me Michael. I ranked in such a high position, in a high top tier position for the ranking came from Child Protective Services, and they ranked for child porn trafficking, for trafficking some of the most child porn you can imagine. But you think that because you are the way you look, your gender, that somehow I think this is a feminist. They are so disgusting. They are so nasty. Just that facade alone just disturbs me. And they know I look at them for the bottom feeders that they are, the trash pedophiles that they are. And this is and there's a hint of a race thing going on that I don't like. I don't think they're racist, but they think that because they're white and women and this progressive kind of like vibe they have, I should be like, oh my gosh, look at you, you're too righteous, you bunch of trash. And then they try to diverge, like, no, you did this, like, you know what, I know what you guys do to women, and I know you're involved in that, you piece of shit. And by the way, this mass shooting, I know that this is the program that caused this to happen. So for you, when I look at you, I truly see for the low life that you are. So when they try to call you whatever, I'm like, as if I'm Michael, and these entities doing these things are like the protectors of children, right? Interesting, right? And you're observing, you're not manipulating me, you're just watching what's happening to my brain. Now, this thing with the ad that you see just happened not too long ago. So these people weren't there when this happened, but basically, while I was in the office, they were trying to gaslight me to accept these things. And now, they will have this like directed conversation, right? I'm looking at this trash. I'm like, you just a nothing. Look at you. You think because the way you look, I'm going to identify to this? No, I truly see you for what you are. I'm thankful that before I lost my mind, before I died, before I got to see you for what you are, I was listening to what you're going to hear. And they're trying to counter that by presenting themselves like, look at my progressive white self. Listen, there's purpose coming in all shape, all form, all race. But there is something when these people do it. And who I mean these people? It's white, woke, white, female. There's something that is more disturbing. Because in their mind, they are so delusional that coming from them, as progressive as they look, as just regular as they look, then I should believe them, the trash ass piece of shit. I'm not a racist individual. I don't care, about race and anything like that. But that disgusting psyop, it's the most nasty. And the thing is, the perps who aren't white, who aren't they like, you see how they look. Yeah, we're a group of feminists. Look at them. I was like, what the fuck? Just trash ass. They're so disgusting. They're supposed to be like, now I'm looking at them more for the bottom fears that they are. It's like, no, look how. Oh, so these are the people who can be compromised. Trash ass. They are the low life. They are the bottom. At least when I see these others who aren't in that have that facade or that present themselves that way, at least I like, you full of shit. You look like you full of shit, and you're not trying to hide it. I respect that a little bit more. But to hear these people having fake conversation, no, wait, a pattern, I'm Michael. It's like, yeah, right. And you guys you were ranked, this governmental entities that's mapping was ranked for protecting so many children. And then you see this fake walking when oh my gosh, it's so disgusting. Like I let it go once, but now I'm like, we're talking about death of people because trash like you were pushing men to lose their mind to the point where they killed the men who killed 4 months ago 18 people was pushed by trash like you. So when I look at them, I was like, nah, it's like we're talking about death of people, innocent people that have nothing to do with anything. So when I look at this shit, I truly see them for what they are, and they still try to walk over. I was like, I stop and I listen. Go ahead, say something. Oh no, we're talking about mass shootings caused by low life like you. There's some woman who stopped and looked at me. Is like, what? Oh, you, oh, I'm sorry. You must forget that I know that the mass shooting that just happened 4 months ago killed 18 people was because people like you were pushing people into insanity. Oh no, you think because you're a white woman, I'm gonna be like, no, you guys are not manipulating my brain. You guys are different than what you're gonna hear. Because you say in that tone of voice, we mapped it. Oh, that means you know what, you're right. You say it in the right tone of voice. You're not doing the pedophilia type of torture. Please try again. No. Oh, you think I'm gonna forget this ranking that? It's weird too that these mappers have so much problem with pedophilia. Nah, you know what? The way you talking, the way you looking at me, that look how distant of a human. Nah, you wouldn't be in a program where people are complaining that they're being manipulated, influenced in disgusting pedophilia ways. Nah, you guys. No, come on, try this again. No, you know what? You are a white woman and your mother. No way you guys be involved in a program that manipulate people in this disgusting pedophilia way. Look how fierce you are. Yeah, you know, when I look at you, I see you for the protector of children. You are telling me who I am because you will not be involved in a program that will manipulate people, including me. You are protective of children. This is what this program is about. It's protecting children all around the world, especially women. No atrocities are done to children. You have children. No, you have not pushed people to kill. No, you have not. You're not involved in a program that pushes people to kill. You're such a brave femme fatale. Look at you. This nasty low life are trash. Target individual. If you ever see this bottom feeders try to convince you to accept this manipulation, look at them for the bottom feeders that they are, the nasty pedos that they are. They're gonna try to deflect and change. No, listen to exactly what they do. This kid over there, the reason why I'm getting stimulation is because I'm forced by this technology that can do that. They've been doing that for years. These people are very pedophilia centric, and they've been normalizing this pedophilia type of torture. There are so many validations, and they use childlike minded individual who day in and day out try to convince you into this manipulation. Your neighbors, people, whoever is around you, partake in this. You know, this trash, they've been so humiliated by reality, because you're gonna listen to this, that I expect the worst torture. Why? Because you see how they look. You see how they present themselves. You know when somebody's embarrassed and humiliated because there's no way to bypass the reality of what you're going to hear. And this kind of validations, they're going to try to find something to counter that. And they're going to try to counter that with theatrical torture. It's too much validations. And when they try to play these gimmicky things around me, no by like when in front of me, and I'm listening to the testimony that you're going to listen, is humiliation in the flesh. Via V2K, they're like, nah, they are, and they use very childlike people. They are. I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? You protect children. Please look at me. Yeah, you see, I bring that up over, and some of them are shocked. Oh my gosh, huh? How? Yeah, I see for the pedo that you are. I embarrass them to the point where they're like, no, it's war. Trash ass. Yeah, it's war. That's what you're gonna hear. What you're gonna hear. Listen, target individuals. Please don't ever identify me. I just take a screenshot of what they try to manipulate me, and then when they try to look at me, whenever it's gonna get aggressive, I'll be ready for it. But if there's, I'm not phased. If anything, I get angry when they try to look at me. I was like, oh my God, don't make me. It's just like, oh, you want to go there? It's like, no, they're gonna feast you. I'd rather get feasted than work for pedophiles. They wanted to present, like, you think this gaslighting is not working. Matter of fact, I'm praying to God to give me strength to not do anything aggressive, because I know what you guys are involved in and what you've caused. And the death of men, women, and even children is on your fucking hands too. So go present yourself in whatever way. Don't worry. You are seen for the trash that you are. Pedos. I can call them pedophiles in their face. And they know I mean it. Because you're going to hear this. You're going to hear this. And I don't care the way you present yourself in this disgusting way. Thank God, first of all, for these validations. I know it's frustrating sometimes, but in every way, as frustrated as I've been throughout this whole process, it's been more and more validations. More and more. In front of them, I can look at them. They force me to get stimulation. I'm looking at them. Okay, oh, this is black girls, huh? Ah, okay, you're mapping. You're so mapping that you're using these DoD devices are so used for mapping that child porn is being trafficked so much from these devices. Ah, okay. And I should ignore all these testimonies, right? All these validations. And I should listen to people who do the pedophilia type of torture, saying that it's you. Black girls, white girl, whatever, kids. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm gonna let that happen. I think they start getting the understanding that it's not gonna happen. Because you're gonna hear this, and it's gonna happen a lot when you're gonna hear the testimony. Can you imagine hearing what you're gonna hear? Looking at somebody like that in front of them, they don't even know where to look at. Because I'm gonna be like, oh no, you guys are different because you're white women. Is that it? And I think the people who do this thing around me here, right, in my isolated state, thought that, it's going to go in the world, it's going to start identifying. Oh my gosh, it's even more. I'm more validated than ever. When you see them acting in person, it's like, my gosh, what I was saying, it was even more. Like, because I'm listening to the testimony, I'm looking at these people. And they're like, we blew it, knocked out. They start talking about how I'm going to be tortured. Yes, I understand. It's just too much validations. So now we talk about torture and other things that have nothing to do nothing to do with the manipulations. Yes, I'll get knocked out, I'll be tortured. I'll scream, I'll cry, I'll be raped, and guess what? And I'll know that you guys are the pedos who've been manipulating people in this disgusting pedophilia ways, to the point where some people have been killing and have killed. And this last mass shooting was caused by a target individual who lost his mind to the point he killed 18 people. And the pedophilia type of torture was applied to him. Oh, and by the way, there's a lot of women saying there's a bunch of females involved in that. Maybe not white female. Maybe she didn't specify that which is different. Maybe she didn't specify white progressive females. Oh, white mother, female. Trash ass. So they're gonna wait and they're walking with coffee. They're gonna be knocked. I was like, yes, I'm gonna be knocked up because the government is using me as a test subject. And it's fate that the same governmental entities doing these things to us are so pedophilia centric that the child protective services is ranking them as top tier child porn trafficker. Oh, and they're like, no, but what you did as a kid? It's like, oh, really? You know the atrocities. Now, people who would suffocate children or be involved in a program where that is happening to children or hurting kids will not manipulate people in the pedophilia ways. Nah, you guys. They are a war. And you're gonna listen who is dealing with this war. Target individual, do not identify with these pedophilia manipulations. When you hear this and you see their faces in the flesh, it's something else. I'm telling you. I went to the office, right, and there's a bunch of people all around you, and all of them are trying to bypass what you're gonna hear right here. It's obvious manipulations, and you see people who, some of them are way smarter than you, stooping to the law of no return to gaslight you. But the gaslighting doesn't work when you recognize what it is gaslighting. You're acting dumb for me to act dumb, to identify to this manipulation. You're dumbing yourself down for the purpose of gaslighting me. And you look at them in their faces, and you don't even know where to start. Should I talk about the ranking of these pedophiles, that quote unquote mapping? Which before, I remember when it started, it's like, no, they fired them. And I remember when I saw the same person who said that before, and I looked at her, oh yeah, they fired, huh? That's why the 19th out of 2,900. And I haven't seen her since. Yes, it's been over. You know, every time I'm bringing up the reality, they tell me how it's over. It's been over. The day I was putting this program, it was over for me. I understood that. But I'm glad it ended this way, where I got to see everything for what they are, and now I can be in front of everybody trying to look at me. It's like, he's gonna knock you. Okay, knock me out, cut me up. It's not gonna change that you guys do the pedophilia type of torture. And this dumbness of ways they try to validate. It's like, no, remember what you did as a kid. Yeah, okay. The people who torture children, who are renowned to do the pedophilia type of torture, will not do the pedophilia type of torture to me. Because what, they're white female? Or what, it's their mothers? Please listen to this.
What is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation, so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat. See highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes.
Common breakdown tactic of belief systems into human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just...
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. It's disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people
to see every night, that I thought how that could happen, but then I told them that they would never take my will, and since we all know how the psychopaths groups work with what the TI says... have taken away from me and my family. Ben said the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS, so just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today, they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use of people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals.
Of the body. This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal, or it can sort of turn off the...
I'm supposed to not see this and hear this and believe that they would do these things to me. That I would be, this would not be applied to me because look at the way they look. The sensible white female progressive woman. So that because of that they won't do that to me. They are mapping me. Matter of fact, they're saying what's it, black girl? No, yeah, it's you when you were a kid. They don't do the pedophilia type of torture. Okay, listen to who's doing this, by the way.
DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day. Human mind can be altered. In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior.
This is the issue that these DoD entities have been having for years. And yes, this is public information.
The Defense Department releasing brand new details into an investigation involving child pornography and dozens of its workers and contractors, some with top-level security clearance. Not only are these very serious accusations, but investigators say some of the people involved were handling the nation's most sensitive secrets, potentially making this a matter of national security. Chief Fox Report correspondent Jonathan Hunt with the news. Appalling story, Jonathan. Do we know more about these people and their security clearances?
Well, we don't know their exact job titles, John, but what we do know is that they did appear to have been working, some of them, at high levels across a range of government agencies. Take a look at this, for instance, the National Security Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, and the very secretive Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency.
Last agency is DARPA.
Investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material. Called Project Flicker, some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the Personal Electronic Device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security sweeps. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who were being recognized as the ones who were perpetrating this.
So Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, "The notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head-on." Now, the fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military or otherwise, already submit to a gauntlet of daily scrutiny just going in and out of work, is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers?
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you...
By the way, something they try to counter this obvious disturbing issue that there's so much child porn being trafficked using the DoD devices and Pentagon devices and network. The woman Abigail is a white woman who, prior to be in Congress, she had multiple jobs. One, she was like a post office agent, and prior to that, she was also working like in the CIA in regard of like counter-terrorism things. Like she was in Afghanistan and things like that. And like you see, that's proof we are, because apparently these people, because as you can see, they're white women. Just like this person one of the many people who came up, who tried to with the bill, came up with the bill. You see, white women. So we're protecting children working in this program. You understand how disgusting it is? They truly want me to subscribe to this. You're the low-life bottom feeders working for these governmental entities where there's so much problem with child pornography that they try to pass a bill. They passed a bill to try to stop and limit the amount of child porn being trafficked using DoD network. They're not even trying to stop the amount of pedophiles coming onto a website. The amount of pedophile coming to the government. They just try to limit the amount of child porn traffic using the device given to them by the Pentagon. You understand? These governmental entities that are mapping your brain. Fucking trash. How would they get castrated and try to counter this reality or bypass this reality? Listen to how nasty it gets.
Spanberger said in a statement, according to child pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services, the Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography. It ranked 19th of nearly 3,000 networks surveyed in 2018.
This doesn't end only on the DoD. We're talking about also U.S. intelligence, which also have an involvement in this program. Please listen to this.
Raping children and sexually assaulting children? The CIA raping children and sexually assaulting children? And they're not being prosecuted? Where are you? Oh, that's the thing.
The handbook perfectly.
2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired.
That's a CIA who had sexual contact with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old.
One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening in the general evil?
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts. They go through your online footprint. They go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number 1, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number 2, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind?
You see, that question is a good question that this bill will never actually address. The bill is just trying to stop this pedophile from using DoD computers and Pentagon devices to download child porn, because at this point in 2019 they were ranked 19th in regard to 2,900 network in the whole United States for trafficking child porn using those devices. This is the technology. Sorry, they have this technology that can do all these things to your brain, but you tell me they don't have enough resources to stop this level of child porn being trafficked. And by the way, like this man said, they do this serious background. Of course, they will know if the person they're employing or contracting is a pedophile. Because as you've seen, the CIA agents were downloading thousands of child porn on their computers. So you understand who's talking to you, and you understand that these tactics are used onto others to break them down. So I'm just thankful that before I died, before I lost my mind, this level of humiliations have been shown to me, and you have people like them like, now we are Michael. I was like, yeah, okay, you protect it. And with me, they're still trying to present themselves. It's so disgusting to see this like fake feminism. The people who put me in this program, and it was just to see them in person and see how fucking coward and bottom feeders they are. The people who put me in this program, they are so conservative, and the who present themselves try to make themselves look like this just progressive group of fierce, femme fatale, progressive, radical individuals. They're cowards that can even say this name here, first and full name. With me hearing that clearly, I was at the office there, and you could see people try to say his name by just mumbling it or walking away, hiding. Like, wow, he's so fierce. You're just a coward working for pedophiles. Listen to the name they can say.
And go a food courting. More even went to the mall to get into the holiday spirit. One woman recalls that she was 14 and working as Santa's helper at the Gadsden Mall in 1977 when Moore first spoke to her and told her she would look pretty. 2 years later, when she was 16, he asked her out on dates. He hit on one of Santa's elves. Well, a true evangelical, he's putting the Christ back in Christmas. Wow. And hear the sleigh bells jingling, ring, ting, tingling, too. It wasn't just the mall, folks. One Alabama journalist claims that Moore was also banned from the YMCA for his inappropriate behavior of soliciting sex from young girls. And don't forget, he did that while he was assistant DA. The assistant.
Yep. First and last name not said in a clear way, but I heard them say all kind of things. And by the way, this is obviously the reason why it's happening to us, target individual, is not because they just want to condition people to think about kids in a sexual way just for the fun of it. It's not for the bullshit storylines that they're coming up. They're pretending to do, to doing it for. You know, the true threats they're working for, the true threat to children is who they're working for. They know that. I mean, it's obvious who's really having a pedophilia issue here. The reality is you heard in the first part of this part of this video about it. Since the 60s they've been working on technology that can alter the mind. Well, the reason why they do that things to us with the pedophilia type of torture is part of this deep-patterning tactic. And they have this whole ways of doing things that's very systematic. Listen to this man, Robert Duncan, with a target individual called Lynn, going to the podcast and try to bring up awareness in regard of, this development of technology that can alter the mind and the tactics they use. Please listen to this.
Billion brains on the planet, potentially. Read them. Brains. Underwater.
How do you explain this is happening to Len? How do you rationalize it?
Come in private. Hold on.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Can I talk? Here's how I do my studies, and I wanted to find the commonalities, but I have to throw away the ones I'm uncertain about that are true targets. Maybe there's natural schizophrenia, there's a whole bunch of chemical imbalances, etc.
Right.
These weapons can actually induce and mimic all those diseases and effects. But the conversations, the scripts, they're called, are always the same. And I've heard them all. They're slightly tailored for each individual, but they're scripts. And they're meant to confuse the very derogatory. That's just typical breakdown. Have you ever been to boot camp? You're a worm until you're part of the team. And why would you want to break down the ego of that person? To rebuild it. So this gets into creating Manchurian candles, and I've heard all this government where the Chinese go, and information couriers, people that will carry the V2K. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
It's already being used. I mean,
this is part of the reason of the breakdown, the torture that TIs are experiencing, is they have to break down the ego in order to be part of a greater mind or mind controlled. It's the government, but you want a random sample of the population in all languages, all cultures, in order for a worldwide weapon of an AI system that can interact with every human brain. For example, when you develop a new drug, well, you have a control group, and then you give the placebo, and then you have the actual drug experiment in order to do a double-blind study. Right. So why me? I'm nobody. Well, that's exactly probably why they chose you.
Right.
Knowledge. If you have knowledge ahead of time, Len, would you have gone through as much pain? I mean, you would have you would have been able better to cope early on. Right. So we're trying to spread awareness and knowledge of, that it's a machine and not your actual family, let's say, berating you. And mind control is so powerful in these weapons and voice to God. I mean, you have no ability to discern, like looking at a television, what goes into your mind. It is directly stimulating those neurons to think that. So, I mean, is bypassing your peripheral vision. Some people can see through their third eye, and that's called in psychology the visual workspace. Some people can smell artificial things, taste artificial things. All the senses have been bypassed, like in the movie The Matrix. They're literally plugged in to a synthetic controlled reality that they cannot differentiate from their external bodily senses.
Do you have
ultimately controlling the enemy? The book, The Art of War, is an excellent short read, and it's to make your enemy believe you are near when you are far. It's to believe you are weak when you are strong. It's to believe you are, unorganized when you're very smart and strategic. And so they play all these games along with the torture scripts right out of the books on the target. And they make them believe that,
you might guess, that this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in their 50s. This is, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that, why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
cognitive warfare.
Exactly, it's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds,
personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean, this. Yeah.
So, this is why they use these disgusting tactics to break us down. As you say, the future seems to be a future where technology will be used as a weapon, in the sense of cognitive technology will be used as a weapon, and obviously at some point probably something good, but at this point for us is weaponized. So cognitive warfare means that your mind is altered. This personality rebuilt is created, meaning that they try to rebuild you in this fashion so you start seeing yourself in different fashion, which can push somebody to kill and to lose their mind. And this has happened multiple times. I'm going to start off with the last mass shooting, which caused 18 people die. Please listen to him. Listen to what happened there. And I don't mind bringing this up a million times because there's people involved in this program, and I don't want them to go into their fantasy. I want them to do what they do, which is not going to change what's going to happen to me, but not living in escapism, because of course things involved in this, things comes to them. It comes to them. Right now the way they try to counter or cope with that is like, oh, you're going to suffer more. It's like, regardless of how I'm going to suffer, I'm going to suffer with a sense of dignity. You living this comfortable life with just ways to counter reality because you just try to block out the level of trashiness that you are. Listen to what they're involved in.
In May last week, from New York Times, I'm Michael Barbaro. This is a daily. Today, the mass shooting that occurred in May last week, killing 18 people, was the country's deadliest of the year. It may also have been one of the most avoidable.
Army reservist, and the documents show that these warnings, the local police are really made aware that this guy is a concern is about 5 months ago in May, when his ex-wife and teenage son go to a school resource officer, and the school resource officer calls down a sheriff's deputy to speak with the family. And in that interview, the teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices. He's started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. They also note he has collected about 10 to 15 guns that he kept at a relative's house.
Solution to this problem, which is work with the Army Reserves.
I think that's right.
Okay, so what happens next?
So the next thing we know that happens is in July. Card travels with his reserve unit to West Point, New York for an annual training exercise. And there's a very concerning incident that takes place. They're all hanging out together at a motel, and he starts accusing them of calling him a pedophile. This is
Yep, you just heard it.
one of his paranoid delusions that comes up repeatedly.
So they do this thing where, even as I was listening to that, they were bringing up all the things they manipulated, they changed it to create this personality that they create, which can push somebody into insanity. And this insanity caused this man to kill 18 people. Listen to this poor kid, right, who was shot. He was one of the 13 wounded. There was 18 dead and 13 wounded. And she was shot on the leg, and she was asking a very interesting question here, because of, like, why would somebody do that? Listen to this.
Others wounded. The first 911 call coming in around 7 p.m. from a local bowling alley that was hosting a youth night for a kids' bowling league.
We have an active shooter. We have multiple injuries.
Authorities releasing these surveillance images showing the suspect they're looking for. His name is Robert Card, and he's pictured armed with an AR-15 style rifle.
Mr. Card is considered armed and dangerous, and police advise that named people should not approach him under any circumstances.
Megan Hutchinson and her 10-year-old daughter Zoe were at the bowling alley. Zoe's leg grazed by a bullet.
I never thought I'd grow up and get a bullet in my leg. Why? Why do people do this?
After allegedly shooting several people inside the bowling alley, Card is believed to have traveled about 4 miles to a local bar and restaurant.
That's the good question she asked. Why would people do this? And you just heard why somebody would go ahead and even shoot a place where there's a bunch of kids. It's because they were pushed into insanity because of the disturbing these things they say, derogative things they say via V2K, voice to skull, that can just project voices onto your brain. But he's not the first, and definitely not be the last doing that. This is another one that's obviously a target individual.
Why? Was a mentally unstable individual. This shotgun is the primary murder weapon. On it, he etched a number of carvings, including "End to the Torment," "Better Off This Way," and "My ELF Weapon." Alexis had been hearing voices and believed he was being bombarded by microwaves, something naval authorities knew about.
There are multiple indicators that Alexis held a delusional belief that he was being controlled or influenced by extremely low frequency, or ELF, electromagnetic waves.
And in his computer files, the FBI found this.
A document retrieved from the electronic media stated, quote, "Ultra-low frequency attack is what I've been subject to for the last 3 months. And to be perfectly honest, that is what has driven me to this."
And so on what should have been a routine day, Alexis killed 12 people. Mothers, fathers, sons, daughters.
So you heard. It's not going to be the first time. It's not going to be the last time. For me, I'm just thankful I never got to the point of being aggressive. To even if I was doing that, if let's just say I attacked one of these perps involved in this. Look at these bottom feeders. Look at these nothings. They're just bottom feeders in this. Let this trash die the way they need to die. But before that, I'm not gonna let them escape. As they have this directed conversations and try to be seen, they're just low life. thinking that the way they portray themselves is gonna make me accept this manipulation. They're like, no, but you know what? We mapped it. It's you when you were a kid, remember? Because they keep bringing up what I did as a child. I'm like, first of all, I'm talking to people involved in a program that does horrible things to children. To hear these mothers and try to be like, no, our kids are girls. First of all, as I'm saying that they try to mess with me. First of all, you're in a program that's obviously forced people based on these patterns of torment. And just to annoy them, I was in the office looking like Googling what does pattern means, right? It's just a consistent, keyword, tactic or thing they do over and over and over and over. And there's a consistent thing that's happening here. You heard the testimony that almost all targeting for individuals are forced to see child porn in their mind. You see these people saying they get stimulation toward children. You hear this consistent theme. Then you see this consistency with the issue of child porn being trafficked, in this consistency, and which shows that there's a consistency in the way they manipulate people, and a consistency of how foul they are. The man who just killed 18 people was being called a pedophile in his mind. This is one of the derogative things they say. But low life like them, nobody's like them. If I was going to be aggressive, they would be the first one out. But this is the bottom fears that they are. And what they do to children. Listen to this.
And have had a decent education.
A 7-year-old client who has... I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism. And she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic. And they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day. And I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing "ow."
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today.
So this is the horrible things they do to children. And I can go on with the women. But the reason why I'm just going to focus on the children is because of the pedophilia things they do. It's clear pattern of what they do. Just like this woman, Catherine Nestor's, testimonies are very validating because these people say the exact same thing you go through. And what they have to say is like, no, what we do, we mapped it. It's you when you were a kid, we mapped it, you remember? And then talk, no, but remember what you as a kid. I'm like, I'm a grown man and I've been a grown adult for a long time. I know who I am, and obviously I know that you guys are doing this pedophilia type of torture because I know you're trying to gaslight me into not seeing the pattern of what you guys been doing to people and how horrible you guys are. And I understand that you're trying to use the psyop, the facade, to try to make me subscribe to this manipulation, thinking that your gender, your race, your status in is gonna make me not see things for what they are. They do this trickery that you hear. They do everything possible, these mind games, to try to make you believe a different reality and make you accept this personality, rebuild the creating. The reason why I make videos is because there'll be a day when I will not be able to articulate what I'm saying, articulate what I'm experiencing. And so I'm recording this knowing that there'll be a time when that will not be able to be done. And for example, my memories has been so manipulated. I remember the first video I made in 2020 about memory manipulation, saying, is my memory gonna ever be like, would I ever like fully believe these false memories? And now it's getting rough to think about real memories. They're just boxing this false memory, and then that false memories felt like that in my brain, and it feels like it's real. And at one point it was laughable. Now it's just like exactly a memory that felt real, which is falsified. But that's what they do. This is why I make videos now, because this is a conditioned tactic. They try to get you to accept this manipulation and the acceptive of these manipulations. So these bottom feeders are nobody. Stark individual, do not lash out into this low life. They're just cowards that feel empowered.